Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Road to Grandmaster series. This is the 7th round game of my second tournament back here in July of 2024. Thus far in this tournament, I've got 5 points out of 6. I've been playing decent chess thus far, and I have 4 wins and 2 draws in 6 games. Now, also a shout out to the Patreon subscribers, the Road to Grandmaster Patreon, where I'm uploading a bunch of Grandmaster lessons and now exclusive early access to the recaps. So they have seen this a little bit early. You know who you are, over 900 of them. And for just $7 a month, you can unlock a lot of content. And for the people that subscribe to the Patreon at the highest tier, I'm doing giveaways. I'm giving away my score sheets signed with a handwritten message from the tournament. Anyway, you can check all that out. I'll put a link in the description if you'd like to join the Road to Grandmaster series. Yeah, they already saw this a little bit early on the Patreon. So going into this game, I was playing a teenager, and I couldn't find any of his online accounts, but I found an account where he records music. So I was like, oh, guy's multi-talented. All I knew about James is that he would play e4. I did not know what he was going to play against the Caro-Kann. I also don't care, literally, physically, metaphorically, because the truth is, recently, this opening, I have learned so many lines, I feel completely unbeatable. Now, against Novik, I played like an idiot, so that's a whole separate story. But I was kind of ready for anything. And, you know, he took on d5. I was like, okay, exchange Caro-Kann. Or he's going to play Panov, which used to be pretty good, but white doesn't really have any chances there. But the exchange variation is very interesting. It's very simple, very straightforward, and you kind of play a structural game where black has no c-pawn, white has no e-pawn. Now, what I decided at the board is, and you see here, you know, didn't think too long. I decided to play e6. There are no less than 10 systems in the exchange Caro-Kann. Like, you can play queen c7, you can play knight f6, you can play g6, you can play knight h6, knight f7, you can play g6, bishop f5. You can also play what I played in this game, which is this edgy new line, pawn to e6. This has been getting played the last several years by some pretty strong grandmasters, and I knew he would never have prepared for it because I've literally never played this in my life. Not online, not on any secret accounts either. This was literally my first ever time playing this, as far as I remember. I mean, maybe in some random chess.com game at some point on stream I played it, but essentially the point is this. In the exchange Caro-Kann, white wants to control e5. So white's going to play knight f3, white's going to castle, white's going to play bishop f4, and there's different ways that black can approach the game. The most traditional is to develop the knight, develop the bishop, develop the pawn, develop the bishop, and, you know, play kind of... But the way I played this is I played bishop d6 and knight e7. This is very unique. It's a very particular way of playing, and it's been getting pretty popular. And again, I didn't prepare this for my opponent, but Gotham 2.0 is well prepared everywhere. You ain't surprising me. It's just not... And by the way, if people are going to play e4 and hope that they're going to get a Caro-Kann where they're going to get something... I'm telling you, I am more motivated than ever. I have learned so many critical lines and ideas. I didn't get to show it against Novik because I literally didn't play my preparation. I tried to improvise at the board, and sometimes we do stupid stuff like that. Now, hyping all that up, by the way, here I made an inaccuracy. What I remembered was that the queen should, of course, be on c7 because it's powerful on this diagonal, and it fights for e5. Luckily for me, he didn't quite take advantage of that. Technically, it's better to just not play queen c7. That's kind of a waste of time. But I thought it's very logical because I have pressure here and I'm covering the e5 square. Turns out I'm wrong, but he went queen e2. He kind of believed me, you know? And then I castled. Now, some of you may be looking at this position going, Greek gift? A lot of the conditions of the Greek gift are met here. Actually, they're all met. The pawn is only protected by the king. The knight has access to g5. In fact, it's protected. And the queen can go to h5. Or at least the queen can come help. But I go here. And there are moments where the king going out with the Greek gift loses. There's other moments where it doesn't lose. Here it doesn't lose. It doesn't lose because no matter what he does, I have defense. He can go queen h4. It doesn't really matter. In this position, I was simply going to play the move bishop to d7. Because queen h7, king f6. And then I'm bringing my rook. And even if he takes, I take, king f7. He doesn't have an attack. So I had to just, you know, and I actually, if you look at the time management here, I thought for like 6 minutes because I was like, I don't want to lose in 9 moves. It's not really what I want to do. So I went here. And he thought for a while here, he played this move knight a3. Knight a3 is a common move when the queen is on c7. It's actually one of the drawbacks of putting the queen on c7. And him playing knight a3 kind of made me think, I think what he prepared was that here I would play queen c7, which I've played probably 100 times in online and offline games. And now knight a3 is this weird new move where white kind of makes you play a6 and then plays knight c2 and it does... So, I don't know, right? So I played a6 because it's the only move, and now knight c2. And now the entire point of my setup is shown because I played this move f6. And this is why I love the Caro-Kann. It has many, many flavors. It has vanilla, all right? It has Rocky Road. It has Oreo, cookies and cream. It's got strawberry. You can play boring and solid, or you can create imbalance. And I love creating pawn structure imbalances in the center of the board. I love it. I love making, this kind of f6, e5 push in the Caro-Kann, especially against players who are a little bit weaker than me. I mean, no disrespect to James. He's a nice guy. But, you got to take a little bit of risk against players who are 100 points lower rated than you, because otherwise they're going to, unless you're like 2780 and you're playing 2680, but even there's, or if you're like 800, 700, yeah, y'all don't need this. You guys need to you gotta hang 2 less pieces a game. James plays c4. This is the best move. Another thing I tried to do in this game, you're gonna notice from this point forward, is I stepped on the gas. I trusted my gut instincts about the position. I didn't overcalculate. And the reason for that is I was really tired. My morning game, you might remember, in round 6, I had an insane game. It was like 4.5 hours long or whatever. There was extra queen on the board. I almost lost. So I said, this game I'm going to play fast. Now, I knew right away, since I can't go e5, the next best thing is to take his pawn and plop my knight directly in the center of the board. The reason for this is I now build a little bit of room for my pieces to get out, and also, this is just bad. There's no reason for him to leave me with the light squared bishop. So he played what I thought he was going to play knight e3, and my original intention when I had seen this was, I'm going to bolster my center. He's going to play bishop d2. I'm going to play bishop d7. He's going to bring his rook. I'll probably play queen b6, and, we're equal. But then I had a thought right here, and I was like, why am I going backwards? Why am I acquiescing to what he wants, right? And of course I'm not taking because it's just helping him develop. And then I realized, wait a minute, I have, in this position, a 3-piece and a soda. To quote Jorge Masvidal from the UFC, I can do something here called getting an initiative. It's not really the thought that goes through your head, but it is rather the ideas. An initiative in chess is a series of moves that creates threats and improves your position. I don't mean threats like this. Okay, that doesn't work because he just takes, counterattacking me, then he wins a pawn because it's check, and then, yeah, so that doesn't work. But what does work is this move knight to e3, knight to f4, responding to knight to e3. Now I attack his queen. Not only do I attack his queen, his knight and bishop now have no target. So they're stuck. Anywhere his queen moves, let's say it goes back here, now here comes b5. Now the bishop's got to decide where to go. I am convinced, and the engine agrees with me, the best move here is to put the bishop also on the home square. That's a very tough move to play, but I think at my level, that's the move that I would see. The point being, now this bishop is not a target. Now my knight is offside, all right? And I don't mean like the offside that's been plaguing the Euros, like by a millimeter. It's offside, right? So then he'll kick me out, and now I got to retreat, and, it's not good for me. I would have to probably go over here. It's very interesting how you can return to the home squares in chess, but because your opponent already lunged into your position, you now are able to kind of capitalize on this, right? So it's kind of interesting stuff, right? It's kind of interesting. So b5, he goes here, which I thought was a mistake, and I played knight a5. And the point is very simple. I just want to get the bishop. That's it. I want to get the bishop. I want to go bishop b7. I want to go king h8, so I'm off this diagonal. And then I want to bring my rook. Now here he played this move knight f5. From a distance, I saw knight f5. Essentially, he's trying to also, not continue to retreat. Had he retreated, I would have gone here, I would have brought my rook, and the position's actually equal. But mentally, you don't want to be retreating, right? It just feels like a lot of retreating. So he tries to justify his active piece positioning, and he plays knight f5. And here I spent my time, because now I'm up 20 minutes, and I spent my time because the idea that he has is to respond to this move by taking, and then by taking my bishop. Now, I looked at this position and I thought, I think I am slightly better. because this pawn is a little bit bad. And I'm going to develop my bishop. I'm going to bring my rook. I'm going to put my king. It's like all the same stuff. His knight doesn't have any mobility, any access to the position. But I thought, let me try to get a little bit more in this position. So he played knight f5, and I came up with this nice move. He wants my bishop. You can't have it. And the line that I calculated here was, if he blocks with his bishop, I'm going to trade. He has to take with the knight. He can't take with the queen. Why? Queen has to guard the bishop to maintain the pin. I go boom, boom, and I take the knight. And this knight is protected. So I calculated bishop d2. Here, knight d2, now in comes my knight. And I thought actually in this position, I'm doing quite well. Obviously, the engine thinks it's equal. If anybody's better, it might be actually him. Wow, what? Queen up. This is not a free knight? Rook e2. Oh, and I gotta part ways with my knight. Oh, okay, if not rook e2, I'm doing very well. But I stopped my thought after queen d2. Actually, my knight is getting trapped. That's pretty sick. Probably would not have blundered that, but the good thing is that my backup plan was to play knight takes b3 and just simply go for a kingside attack. So, and my knight is protecting my pawn. So I thought I'm fine. He played a move which actually was very strong. This move made me think for 15 minutes. This is a great move because now he's threatening my knight and there's a lot of interesting lines. If I don't take his bishop, right? Like my original plan here was to put the knight on d5, but he can actually go here. And somehow this bozo is creating some problems because I can't take. Because then he checks me, forks me, and if I go king h8, he actually has a pretty strong attack on my king. Like I was thinking of bishop b7 here, knight g5, this is mate. This is checkmate. He said, Levy, what are you talking about? It's not mate. Rook h7, he sags the rook. Can you imagine losing like this? I mean, this is insane. He literally beat me with 2 pieces. The other 2 didn't even move. So when I saw that he was getting a kingside attack, I was like, no. I can't justify this, which is why I calculated everything precisely, and I just brought my knight back. And I'm not really threatening his knight here because he could just move it. Now, here I played quickly, but it actually wasn't the best move. Point being, my knight's under attack. However, when I take back, I'll attack his rook. So, you know, the point is, I went here and we traded, but actually, I should have realized that I should trade the queens. Like, I should defend this, but it's not about taking with the pawn, it's actually about taking with the queen. And this position is a significant advantage to black, whereas what we got in the game, which is a position with queens on, is a significant advantage to white. Not like advantage, but between the two positions, which somehow didn't quite occur to me. Like, I kind of wanted my queen on the board. I thought, you know, I have attacking chances maybe, and my queen's very active, and I wasn't impressed by his queen. But I shouldn't have gone to f7. I actually should have gone to b7, which, you know, f7 felt nice because I was sort of protecting my king, but, you know, I keep the queens this way. That's what I do. And then the next move would be bishop d7, and then the next move would be rook c8, and we just have a comfortable advantage here with black. And if he ever takes, we can later take with the pawn, but yeah, taking with the queen, which is, I didn't quite understand that. So I went here, and for a second I thought, wait a minute, he's just getting back into the game. But I was very happy from a distance here to see, oh, he wants to trade bishops. Well, now he can't go there. And that's a tough move. Point being, if he takes, I pin his bishop to his queen. He just can't do that. Now, what I thought he should do here, the thing is if he does nothing, like if he just doubles, I go a5, then all of a sudden I go a4, and then all of a sudden, I'm just much better. Because his knight can't move, his bishop can't move, his rooks have no access to my position either, and his queen's really passive. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, cool, b4. So I have a 9-minute time advantage and a slightly better position against the player who I'm a little bit stronger than probably. So let's turn on, and then he did this. And I was like, oh my God, he's sacrificing the queen. Because he didn't have to do that. He could have challenged me right away. Then I would have gone takes, again prevented this by going a5. And again, I think I'm slightly better because I have the bishop pair. Also because his knight doesn't have a lot of mobility. I was going to put my bishop on c4 or maybe e4. But he's not much worse. But again, now we see the levels, right? We're seeing me evolve since 2021, 2022. And we're seeing me show like the right way to play against 22 and 2300 rated players. The point is to put pressure on them enough so that over the course of 2 to 3 hours, they get really negative about their position. Frankly, this works against most players because most of us are human beings. This works against me sometimes. So he decided the position was dire, so he needs to sacrifice the queen. Now, in his defense, he got a pawn, a bishop, and a rook. Material is equal. It's 9-9. Now, I'd like to give you a mini masterclass on queen versus. In fact, on Chessly, right, on my learning platform, I have a lot of courses on openings and middle games and stuff like that. And if you haven't checked it out, by the way, you really should. There's stuff for everybody, and there's free material in every course. That's a plug. One of the mini courses we have on Chessly is queen versus pieces. That's like a very in-depth concept. What I've learned over my years is that when you have a queen for a cluster of pieces, the queen needs help. And you need to be able to formulate which pieces to keep on the board, which of them have to be traded. When the opposing side has enough material, the queen is pretty useless. When the opposing side has a safe king, the queen is pretty useless. When the opposing side has no weaknesses, the queen is pretty useless. The queen is pretty useless in this case. Like, the computer always puts a lot of emphasis and pluses to the queen, but I have to do this the right way. And I made a plan right here. I was not gonna rush the trade of rooks. 2 rooks together work a lot better than 1 rook on its own. So what I did here is I just played every move really quickly. Now the engine here, if you look at the game review, it starts giving me some minuses. It thinks I should have gone bishop g4. It actually wants me to trade the bishop for the knight. I thought that was really stupid. And frankly, I'm smarter than the engine because, you know, I thought rushing into that exchange was simply bad, considering my opponent would put up a dark squared fortress. But anyway, I went bishop f5, he played h3, and I played h5, and that's just to make sure the king gets off the back rank, and I always have breathing room. Worst nightmare for me is he gets the rooks on the 7th rank, and you know, his king is safe, and I'm in some trouble. So he played rook b6. Now look at the time, 37 to 15. 37 to 15. I was fully prepared at this point to get him low on time, and at that moment to pounce. So played queen a7. It's the top engine move, by the way. Defends my pawn, attacks his rook. He went here. It's a miracle he's not losing here, but like, I can't attack his rook because he takes here. So I played bishop d3. The engine here really likes rook c8, immediately going for a trade of rooks. In fact, not even going for the trade of rooks, forcing it, rook c8, queen c8, and then going down to c1. That would have been pretty smart. That would have been pretty smart. But again, I was playing quickly. You'll notice I'm barely spending any time. And the point is, I want him to self-destruct. Because I don't know what the best plan is, but I do know he doesn't have a lot of time remaining. He thinks down and plays bishop, he's down to 9 minutes. Right? So again, it's pure practical play. That's all we're going for here. I quickly improve my position again. It's not the best move, by the way. The best move here is, again, trying to attack his rooks. I was also looking at rook c8 ideas. Right now, that would fail, but that's why I played king h7, because rook c8 is not a check anymore. I think it's pretty unfathomable here as a human being to think you're ever better as white. What I will say I will, you know, consider for the future is that evaluating this trade a little bit better. I thought the knight is really bad. I thought the knight has no mobility in the game, so I thought, why would I trade my piece? But again, if I trade the bishop for the knight, if this is what the engine wants, it's now no longer going to want to trade the rook so quickly. It'll be happy to keep the rook where it is. It's going to try to kick the bishop out, and then the queen is going to go hunting for the pawns. So that was interesting to me. But what I did in this game is I waited. I played rook e7. I'm trying to go rook b7. He went here. Now, I can go rook b7, but I kind of wanted to confuse him a little bit. So he went down to 7 minutes. I attacked his rook, and now I went rook e7 with the idea to go here. And I was like, oh, his rook is trapped, right? So he goes b3, we trade. Now he has 5 minutes to defend this position against the queen. It's holdable. It's holdable, but you can kind of see where the problems are going to start happening. Like, he's very solid, but because his knight and bishop do not have a lot of mobility, it's a really bad position for him. Now, best case scenario here, something like this happens for white. And I say best case because now he has very limited weaknesses. So probably he should go h4 and hope and pray. Unfortunately, hope and pray might not work because pretty soon I'm going to try to trade off the pieces. So what I did in this game is I went bishop d3. He's now down to 3 minutes. What I have to do now is not get overconfident. What I need to do now is I need to just breathe, right? So I play bishop e4. The threat is to take the knight. He plays rook c5. Nice move, disconnecting my queen's line of sight. So I'm looking to sneak in. He goes knight d2. I play bishop d3. Everything is protected. He has 2.5 minutes. And he plays rook c3. I retreat the bishop. Normal move. And he blunders. So what he should have done here is touched nothing and just started shuffling. He should have thought of the LMFAO song from back in the day. Another thing he can consider is maybe h4. Just don't let me... Okay, there's a fork on b4. So you have to go rook c5, preventing me from moving. But at some point, you just... And bishop d6 just doesn't work. It doesn't work because what I do now is I fork him, and he stopped calculating at his next move. He stopped calculating here because he thought there's nothing. But now I have queen a5, and that's a fork, and he can't protect his pawn. And he's gonna... Once he loses this, I'm in. What's amazing about this position, what I was very happy to find, and Engine agrees with me, this is -3, but the way I played it is -4.5. I checked his king first. This is, I'm very proud of moves like this. It's the little details. Here's the point. Any move he makes weakens his king. He plays g3, f2 is weak. He goes to the back rank, which is what he does in the game. Now what ends up happening is the king becomes a target on the back rank. The king was safe on h2. It's not safe on g1, and he doesn't have a lot of moves. I'm always threatening all sorts of stuff. That's very sophisticated stuff. I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn. I know we have 12-year-olds in the comment section that watch the... First of all, they're not even here. They do not have the attention span to watch this late. Let's be honest. Everybody who's watching this video right now, both on the Patreon and on the YouTube channel, not a single one of you is below the age of like 15. I mean, they don't even... They're gone. They clicked on the big shiny thing in the sidebar already. They popped in here to write, Levy never fails to never fail. It got upvoted to the top comment. All the true dedicated fans are here watching this endgame. And if you are watching this as a teenager and you're going, hey, don't include me with those bozos, I do apologize. I did not mean to offend you. Point is, yes, I'm not glazing my own chess skills, as the kids say. There's a little bit of that Gen Z for you, but it was smart to do that. And at this point, with a minute on the clock, I was essentially looking for the final infiltration. And I realized I needed to get my pawns involved. And what I discovered here is that while he has a beautiful fortress, these pieces are not participating in the game at all. So I went queen d2, rook e3. I played h4. This prevents the king from ever escaping, and it helps me defend the g3 square. And that's important. It's important to defend the g3 square, because when he has to move his pawn, now I go queen f2. The rook is jammed in by his own knight. And now I win the rook by using the pawn that I just put there, by checking the king, forcing it back, and forking his king and his rook. And here he resigned. I was very happy with this game. I mean, I really don't have much to say. I gotta tell you, I am a pretty damn good Caro-Kann player. Like, I have never played the system in my life. I knew one major idea. Queen c7 is an inaccuracy. We can, you know... we can forgive me a little bit, but I really like putting the queen there. Like, okay, I'll start but leaving it there. And literally just knowing f6. And we just got a very fun and interesting game. And, you know, a lot of you have inspired to play the Caro-Kann, and I know that. And you can start adding stuff like this to your toolbox. I mean, I literally learned of the system about 3 weeks ago. I've seen it vaguely, but I started studying it for real and was like, this is really good because white doesn't know how to deal with the center. You're going to get people in your games who don't even know they have to go c4. You're going to destroy those people. Like, they're going to go like h3, e5 and just have a much worse position. So 6 out of 7. I've won 5 games now, and we keep rolling along. I mean, we really do. And we got 2 more games to go. Well, at the time of uploading this, the tournament's over, but I'm sharing my thoughts with you because it was a long tournament. And yeah, that's all I have for you right now. So check out the Patreon if you haven't already. Much love to all the Patreon subscribers out there. The giveaways will be ongoing this week. A lot more content coming for all of you. Check out my Caro-Kann course. This is not in the Caro-Kann course because I didn't know this existed when I made the Caro-Kann course, but listen, y'all, there's a lot of ways to take chess to the next level, and I try to make it pretty easy for all of you, all right? I'm just saying. A lot of free material from me. You don't have to spend money. But if you do want to, I'll make it worth your while. See you for round number 8. Get out of here.